Welcome back to another edition of the Knight Report podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite, and lead Rutgers beat reporter now for Rivals.com, or Rutgers Rivals, Craig Epstein. First, we want to send a sad but also happy goodbye to Chris Nalwasky. He's been, I think, with Rutgers Rivals for, 5 years?
Yeah.
A little longer.
Yep.
He's done a great job covering all sorts of teams for the site, but he got an opportunity at NJ.com full-time that he couldn't pass up. I don't necessarily blame him, but Chris, we're going to miss you. You guys have spent a lot more time with Chris. You guys got any funny Chris stories you want to share before we start talking
Chris
Rutgers?
Stories.
Craig's probably got some.
Yeah. Craig.
Well,
I don't know where you're going with this.
Well, I'll say that there was when we went to Ohio a couple years ago.
Dayton for the playing game.
What was that?
For the first round.
Oh yeah. So that was an adventure because that was a long ass drive, and it's just going from New Jersey to Ohio is just land on top of land on top of land, and it's just like it almost drives you a little nuts because it's like you'll go at like an hours in between seeing just anything, and then you'll hit like a city for like a half an hour, then you'll just go boom back to land for like hours. It's just brutal, and we saw some interesting stuff in Ohio. There was like a friggin' like Wendy's that we stopped off to, and for some reason I don't know why, but there was this like girl standing outside who was dressed like Wendy, just waving to cars going by and shit like that, and I was like, you think? I said to Chris, I was like, Chris, you think this lady works for them, or does she just show up, dressed like that?
I see. I thought you were going somewhere else with that. I thought you were going.
I know what you're talking about. Is this when we were okay? So I'll admit it. So when we were driving home, I might have had my foot on the gas a little bit too hard, and we got pulled over by a cop. And I did get a ticket, but I paid it off, and that was it.
Well, that's good. So you don't have an outstanding warrant. Good to know. We're not dealing with a felon on the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but honestly though, from a professional standpoint, nobody deserves this more than Chris. We know how hard he's been working towards this, and between all the Rutgers articles he's written, all the NJ.com articles he's written, all the tennis he's covered, everything, Seth, even Tap Into that he's done is just like, dude's been working hard for years now, and really, just I know he probably doesn't want to sing in his praises, too much, but really, Chris, nobody is more deserving of this than you, and there's no doubt. I mean, you're going to do a great job in this, and luckily for me and Richie and Mike is that you're not going to be too far away, so we'll still be able to text you and talk to you and get to read your stuff. So honestly, Chris, congrats, and nobody's more deserving.
It's my turn.
Sure, if you want.
I don't really have a story. It's just me and Chris have worked together for a while. He's one of the first people I reached out to. We obviously shared the beat together. We never shared it together during 247 days when I was there, and then I left, and then he went in and kind of replaced me there. And then he was one of the first people I reached out to when I got the site, and I knew he'd do a good job. He killed it. I'm actually shocked he lasted this long with us. I thought he would have got hired quicker than that. But he right like you said before, he's gonna grind harder than most people. He'll kill it there. Fuck you, Manahan, for taking him from me, but you got a good one. I'll give you that.
Yeah, we're gonna miss Craig. We're gonna miss Chris. Jesus Christ! I said I wasn't gonna do that in the beginning. But I'm looking at names, and I just say what I'm looking at. But now we got to talk some shop here. A lot happened this weekend. Starting with Cam Spencer entering the portal. He hasn't chosen a school yet, and it seems like every time
Georgetown. Sorry, bad cough.
Are we sure?
Yeah, not yet.
Well, it seems like every time Richie goes away and can't be reached, big stuff happens. So this was a little bit inevitable. So this is Richie's to blame on this one. Cam Spencer entered the portal seemingly out of nowhere. It's been reported that basically he was like all in on the program. He was at the Big Ten golf outing last week representing the program. He was, going to high schools, talking to kids on different like Rutgers basketball trips and stuff like that. So he was basically the face of the program this offseason. And then what was reported is basically he went home for the weekend. Somebody got in his ear and he entered the portal right when he got back.
Yeah. And she's pissed too.
Yeah, I'll be back. Hold on.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just take it from there. Yeah, so Cam entered the portal. Sorry, every time I leave, like something happens, and I had the worst Wi-Fi signal ever. Went down to Ocean City, so I should have just stopped in DC on the way home and just been like,
you're right there.
"Hey, Cam, what's up? How's it going, buddy? Like, why are you on
First
Georgetown's campus? That's weird." He doesn't. I don't know if he's actually visited or not yet, but yeah, he got. It sounds like it's NIL, NIL, NIL. Like everyone asked me, like, and I know it's like an immediate reaction to think it's NIL, but it's NIL. Like this is how it fucking works. This is the wild, wild East. Yeah, so I mean, it's the whole thing's nuts. I get it a little bit because he's not NBA good, so he's not going to get that bag like that. So it's like, hey, go get yours. Like, do it. Like, fuck it. I've talked to a couple other players that former Rutgers players about it, and they all said the same thing. They're happy Cam's getting what he's getting, and now he didn't sign anything. He didn't get any money yet. There's a bunch of blue bloods reaching out now, according to Trilly Donovan. But I can tell you for a fact, Creighton's reached out, Michigan's reached out. I don't think Indiana's there. I think that's just people throwing shit at a wall at the moment. But yeah, I mean, so many schools are reaching out. It did sound like it was a done deal to Georgetown. And it's not shocking because he loves that area, the DC, Maryland area. He's a DMV kid through and through. And most people don't know this. His AAU program is very close with Maryland. He tried committing to Maryland before he went to Rutgers. Like, that's not a secret. It's pretty well, I guess it is a secret. Not anymore. I let it out of the bag. So it's not like it's crazy. Like, yeah, everyone's like, yeah, he's Rutgers through and through. And I'm like, yeah, not really, because he tried going somewhere else before going to Rutgers. So yeah. He did what he did. And this is the way of the portal. This is how it works. You get a kid from Loyola, Maryland, the Greyhounds. He's pretty good. Get him for a year. He's actually pretty good at this level. And it's like, shit, he has another year left. All right, see you later. It's Jacob Young situation all over again. Like, this is kind of, I mean, Jacob was here for more years, obviously, but
this is a little worse, and I'll kind of go into why. So the transfer portal window, I think it was just established this past offseason by the NCAA, where you have a certain period of time to enter the portal. Football is different than basketball. The time periods and where they fall on the counter are different. But basically, you had between March and May. So I think it was March 11th to like May 11th. You had like 60 days post-basketball season to enter the portal. 60 days come and pass, doesn't enter the portal. 2 weeks after the portal closes, because he's a grad transfer, he can transfer at any time. He enters the transfer portal. Now, there's a lot of speculation that all these potential grad transfers now immediately have more value once the transfer portal window closes. And it makes sense because they are the only ones who still can transfer and not have to sit out without a waiver. So what it sounds like is that a lot of these programs have huge NIL funds. They missed on guys that were in the portal, or they missed on, younger players that can only enter the transfer portal in that period. So now they have to move on to their grad transfer list. So now they're going down and looking who they can potentially get and probably putting a lot of feelers out there. And this is probably one of the feelers they put out. They probably put out a feeler to somebody that was close to Cam Spencer, and he was made aware of the situation, and he probably was going to make a lot more with that NIL deal with whatever he's making at Rutgers, because he does have something at Rutgers. It's not like the KTR announced that every basketball player, both men's and women's and football player, have an NIL deal of some sort with KTR, and that's not even including stuff they're getting outside of that. So he probably got an offer that he couldn't refuse, almost 6 figures is what you're hearing, right, Rich? And now it's become a bidding war.
But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But Rutgers didn't get a chance to match either. Like he wasn't ready to, like, it's not a secret. Like, we could do all this stupid beefing on Twitter all we want. Like, number one, what are we doing? Just tag each other. Stop being like pussies. Like, just like it's ridiculous. It's like subtweet. And I'm like, dude, stop. Like, number one. Number two, let me in the beef if we're gonna do this. I want to get in. I've been gone for a couple days. I got my little vacation. I'm fucking back. Let's do this. Let's talk NIL. Let's talk all the BS. Let's stop hiding the money. Let's stop everyone just be vocal about it. We all know he's getting $90K from Georgetown. Let's stop hiding it. Now all of a sudden, like, not obviously he didn't accept it fully. That his plan was to go to Georgetown, DMV kid, like I said, and as a grad transfer for a brand new coach who has a shitty program in Georgetown and Ed Cooley, this is what you want. You're going to go after grad transfers because you need to be good ASAP, and this is a guy that could help you. Now, mind you, like I said before, Creighton, Michigan. There's like 7 others, like lower level schools, but that have reached out, and Rutgers didn't get a chance to match. That's the end of the day. It is what it is. It just seems like you didn't really care to be here. Like that's all right. That's fine. Then you go back in the portal. You find another one like him because last year he was just sitting in the portal pretty late. Then you just do it again. This is the way of the land of the wild west.
From like I know I'm not a business major or anything like that. I'm not some type of CEO or anything like that. But like, I just don't get why he wouldn't go back to Rutgers and just see, like, just to see, like they probably at the end of the day, like the worst thing that Rutgers would have said is no, we're not matching it. Then you would have known. But the fact that just to not go back, just to even see, maybe, I mean, you just never know. That's just like my opinion is like, you just never know. And I just don't know why he didn't do it. And yeah, and the only reason I could think of is that he figured that if he did go back, then it probably would have leaked out, and then he would have looked bad. But at the same time, that it's like first of all, he doesn't even have a social media, so it's not like he's going to hear, and it's not like he's going to hear from really anybody. And like now he looks bad anyway. So I just that part I just didn't get.
Which is why I think it's a done deal already. I think he was already set on leaving. He didn't care. Like, yeah, there's so many people have said they're like, Rutgers wouldn't match 90K. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't think like a Towers or a Rotkin or a Garuti would have been like, yo, like, we love hoops. Well, here's your 90K. Like,
yeah, the best thing that could happen to you is in something like this is to start a bidding war. So why are you taking one less team out of it? Like, just let Rutgers, that's what. Even if they didn't match it, that's what was that?
I mean, that's what's happening now. Like, you
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
And then the offers start coming in. So all these guys also talk. Like, they're all close. Like, I'm sure that they have a rough idea what everyone's making in NIL. And let's say that Cam got an offer that he knows is, 5 times what anyone's making. How is, like, that's going to destroy the locker room. If he's making a, orders of magnitude larger deal than anyone else, you don't think that's going to make everybody be like, well, okay, I need my bump now. I need this. I need that. It sucks, but until our NIL program is at the level that we want it to be at, and we'll kind of get into that later because there was a pretty groundbreaking article that came from NJ.com. I think they interviewed John Newman, and they talked about like goals and kind of where KTR is at the moment. But until we get to that level, like, we really do need to just have this fine balance of like not giving somebody way more than any other player because it's just going to destroy the locker room.
See, now I thought about that too, but I feel like that's like a little brother mentality too, because like everyone else is doing this. Like, you just got to pay people. End of the day, you just got to. I get it. You all want money, but if you're not playing up to par, you're not getting money. That's how it's professional sports at this point. It's not a contract per se, but it is kind of too. So like, the higher, the better players are going to earn more money. And this is like, it happens with football. Like, you don't think Gavin Williams' six-figure six-figure NIL deal came out when he got on campus. He didn't even like, and then you had still Art Sikowski and Noah Vedral there not making anything near that. And it's like, Are they pissed? Probably. But at the end of the day, you still got to play. Like, it's just.
Yeah, and we were talking about
the best player by far. So it's sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. But I was going to say we were talking about this. Oh, sorry, Richard, I cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was going to say we were talking about this off camera, but it's like, I just don't think in this current like format of way things are, you're never going to have balance because like, okay, so you pay Cam Spencer a little bit more. Then somebody who might have either had as good, if not better, or maybe slightly less of a season, then they're going to want more money. And then they see other people get, it's just going to be, it's like the way things are set up now, it's just like whack-a-mole because you see one guy get paid. Hey, I want to get paid. Hey, I want to get paid. And then you knock one down and then the next one pops up. So it's just like, I just don't think the way things are right now, you're ever going to have balance. Like, there's always going to be somebody who wants the bag. And if they don't get it, they're going to leave.
That's just how it is. Though.
That's their power, and it's nothing against them for exercising that power, but it's just the way college athletics are set up right now.
Free agency.
Yeah, I think what's mainly turning off a lot of fans is like, you used to be able to just have a guy for 4 years or 5 years, and there's this built-in loyalty, and I think that's why you saw a guy like Caleb not even consider other schools last year when he was deciding whether or not to come back, and he took an NIL deal to return. I think that's kind of why you're seeing it with Paul and Cliff too. But we're kind of at the end of the era in terms of loyalty for players, because like you said, everyone on the team this offseason has been tampered with for basketball. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the same roughly number for football as well. So like these guys are getting,
I know.
I guarantee you.
It's not everyone. There was. Aaron Lewis got tampered with. Sam Brown got tampered with.
Yeah,
I
think we knew that.
There's a good deal of players that probably could have left for NIL purposes on the football team. They did a good job of retaining them. But we're at the end of that era. Like, there is no loyalty. Like, I was here 2 years. Like, this is, the place where, I felt like I grew up, like all that kind of stuff. Because if you're only there for a year and then you got schools contacting you for these huge NIL offers, like, you don't have time to really kind of fall in love with the place. Like, you might like it, but you spend 4 years at a place, and your fifth year, you're trying to decide whether you're going to Blue Blood X or stay at your school and keep your status at the school. It's hard. It's much harder to leave that situation than it is after your freshman year. So it's a changing landscape, and it's so much harder to navigate than professional sports. Because professional sports, there's like a salary cap. There's fixed length contracts. You don't want to play? Well, you're under contract, so too bad. Like, college sports, it's nothing like that. You can leave after a semester if you want to. No strings attached. No penalties whatsoever. Even if there's, a situation where you have to get a waiver, they're giving them away like toilet paper. At least they were previously. So it's so easy to just get up and go that it's a way different. It's a much tougher battle to fight in college sports than professional sports. And I don't like when people keep comparing it to professional sports, because they're not the same animal at all. There's no salary cap. Everything's dark money. Everything is a free for all. It's literally like, the best comparison is the Wild West. Like, you go out there, you claim a piece of territory. Somebody comes over and says, "I want it." You don't want to give it up. They shoot you dead. And then they take it. That's basically what's happening with NIL. So it is not an easy situation to navigate. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of coaches are just fed up with it and pulling their hair out. It is not easy to manage. And it's nothing like professional sports, other than there's money being paid to people to play sports. That's really the end of the comparison.
It's already happening right now. I mean, Jay Wright, I think he retired earlier than he was going to. What'd you say?
Yeah, he quit because of it.
Yeah, Jay Wright. I think Krzyzewski retired a little bit earlier than he probably wanted to or would have, because it's just like, it's like almost impossible. It's the way it's structured right now. It's basically almost impossible to rebuild, and it's almost impossible to sustain like a success like that, just because everybody's on 1-year deals. And it's like, obviously I don't want to go back to the way things were. That's not the answer. Yeah. That's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. But the way things are right now, this is to me, this isn't the answer either. Like you said, this is just like the Wild West. It's not like professional sports where guys are under contract. Like, everybody here is just on 1-year deals, and guys leave, like you said, after a semester. And let's be honest, we know guys get tampered with probably in season, and that's probably so they have things lined up the second the season ends. That's why you see guys so quickly hit the portal and find a spot so quickly. So it's just like, like I said, this is the way things are right now. It's just, this is not how college sports should be, in my opinion.
It's been like this though. That's the thing.
I know, but that's not an excuse to make things even easier.
I'm not saying it's easier. It's just public now. It's public knowledge.
I also think it's a little bit now. It's just
the Indianas and the Dukes and look at Syracuse, for example. Like, they were buying players, and Boeheim's like, "We never bought anyone," and it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
And now they can't, because their best donor just dipped on them and said, "Fuck it, I'm out." And now he's at Binghamton. Side note, if you're Rutgers, you should probably reach out to that guy. He's kind of local-ish, kind of, not really, but you can figure something out. But yeah, no, it's just, this is how it is, and this is not changing anytime soon. You can't go from 0 to 100 back to 50. We've said this a couple times on here. I think it's just too late. Like, maybe you can rescind it back to 90%, but it's like, I don't know. This is the way it is. And end of the day, you want these guys to stay at Rutgers. Pay up. You don't need the collective to do it. Not like that little segue there. Now we're going to talk about the collective. But yeah, like, you can just pay a player straight up. You don't need a collective in order to do it. Like, that's what a lot of these people are doing. Like, yeah, there's look at the LifeWall guy, Diaz or whatever. Not Diaz. Yep. Diaz is the old coach. Was it Diaz? It might be Diaz.
It's John Ruiz.
Yeah. He's just fucking paying them straight up. He's like, yeah, I'm the GM. Fuck you guys. Like, here you go. Here you go. You don't think he's talking to the staff saying like, hey, like, who do we want? How much?
Yep.
Here you go. I don't care.
Yep.
Like, that's just how it works now. Like, it's tough. But
The only thing, honestly, the only thing I ask for at this point is just regulation. Like, I think we've over the last few years, we've been seeing so many different like explanations and people just describing all these different things. It's just like at the end of the day, like all I think this needs is regulation. I know it's not going to happen probably for
ever.
because it took them a century to get to this point, so it's probably going to take them another century to get to to figuring out how to regulate. But whether it's, I don't know, whether it's not above my pay grade to figure out what the regulation should be. But just like I think at some point it just has to get to it has to be like that, because like it's like having guys on 1 year contracts every year is just like, it's not sustainable.
Isn't that what one and dones are though? Pretty much.
Yeah, but they go to the NBA. Like, so that, like, I have obviously nothing against going to the NBA. Like, if you can go to the NBA, you're going to the NBA.
Yeah. Well, this is where Pikel's recruiting can kind of help them now. You get those under the radar kids. They got that loyalty going already, built in trust. And then you get the one and dones, because that's where they're recruiting now. And it's like, all right, fuck it. We only need 1 year. That's it. And then there you go. Keep going.
Yeah, but then the problem is if those under the radar guys do good, and the
one
and done, they're gone. And then the under radar guys do good.
Well, that's another reason that, like, we've referenced this previously. Like these G5 programs, or these Division I programs that are like in the MAC or whatever, their recruiting pitch has totally changed. Now it's, hey, come here, we'll feature you. After 2 years, you can enter the portal. And you can go to a higher program, but you come here, we'll teach you all the things you need. You'll be a star, and then you can move on. Like, that is literally the recruiting pitch for some of these lower level schools. And like, if you take like you said, a diamond in the rough, and he flourishes by his second year, and he's a starter and he's really good, he's going to get the same NIL deal that a high 4-star kid out of high school is going to get. So it's not a sustainable model, because you can recruit well, develop well, and at the end, you're just giving them to someone else if you can't match the NIL. And I don't think it's any surprise that the teams that always were cheating back in the day have the best NIL programs, because now it's just above grade. Now you can just be honest with where the money's coming from. You can just shine a light on the dark corner of college recruiting and just see, oh, Bama really was paying people millions. Oh, Auburn really was paying people all this money. Miami really was paying all these people money. So it's not a surprise that the shady programs are doing really well in the era of NIL, because they're already paying them. Now they can just do it like in front of everyone else. But the NIL collective discussion is interesting, because the Knights of the Raritan have been pretty buttoned up with a lot of the information, because it's a competitive advantage. You don't want to tell how much you're kind of making and whatnot. But I think they hit the point this weekend where they kind of had to be forthright about it in order to kind of hope there's going to be some change. So Knights of the Raritan was founded about a year ago, early May of 2022. So let's just call it a year. They've been around for a year, and in that time, they've gotten roughly 1,000 monthly donors to the program, and they've raised about $1.5 million in the first year. Now, they basically did an analysis, and they said, in order to sustain our programs, so our athletic department programs, we need about $10 million a year. So right now they've made $1.5 million, and a lot of that came from that $1 million donor drive that they had, I believe, at the end of the year, right? Around like December,
whatever that match was.
So they made about $1 million in that $1 million match drive, a little bit more, $1.5 million total, and we need $10 million to sustain our athletic program. So we were at 15% if we can match what we made last year right now. And they said that 65% of that roughly would go to football, another 20% would go to men's basketball, and the rest would go to women's basketball and wrestling. So where is that $10 million coming from? Like, they need big donors, or they need corporate sponsors, because we don't have the volume as Rutgers fans, as an athletic department. Like, we've had problems with donors for years getting money. So we need some kind of corporate sponsorship, or we need these guys sitting on the sidelines that are, 8, 9, 10 figure personal wealth to step in and kind of save us, because that's how a lot of these programs with really good NIL programs, it's around Rutgers stature at least, like it's like 2, 3, 4, 5 people who are really propping everything up. So that's the only way I see Rutgers getting out of this NIL hole, is to find basically a sugar daddy.
That's the thing, though. I mean, that's what I'm saying before. Like, it's not just NIL collectives. Like, it's obviously number one. Let's just talk about this. You have to recruit still at the end of the day. It's not just NIL.
Yeah.
This $10 million is just to retain your roster, I'm assuming.
Yep.
6.5 for football. It's not going to get you much. Like, I can tell you based on other programs and stuff, that's not getting you a lot. Like, maybe it will retain this roster, but that's not going to get you much recruiting wise nowadays. So, I mean, put the $6 million towards hoops. Do it. Like, honestly, that's the way you're gonna win hoops. You're gonna win a lot of fucking recruiting battles with hoops, because Pikel, number one, is already proved to be a great recruiter. Brandon Knight's a great recruiter. TJ Thompson's a great recruiter. You give them NIL money, and look what happens. Oh, look, Ace Bailey's here all of a sudden. Yeah, does Ace Bailey have connections to the program? Yeah, Ace Bailey also has an NIL agent. Like, it's no secret that like Ace is going to Rutgers for an NIL deal as well. He's had his top, like, I think he had a top 10 list. Out of that top 10, I think 6 of them are well-known NIL programs. The other 4 probably still have NIL. Like, his whole recruitment was based on NIL for the most part, along with recruiting as well. And that's where the Brandon Knight connection comes in. But, like, it's not just a collective at the end of the day. So that's why I think there's more money in there, like, out there for Rutgers than people think. Like, I know they're trying to say it's low, and you don't want to say a high number, because if you say a high number, everyone's going to be like, why would I donate if they already have the money? But there is money there. Like, other everyone talks about it. Like, and even the camps, like yesterday, like, people are like, "Ah, Rutgers has a pretty solid NIL base," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, the article said 1.5 mil. Like, no, it's more than that. Like, it's not just collectives anymore. Like, that's just the collective, yes, and that helps with the retaining players. But in terms of getting players on campus, it's there's still stuff out there. Like, I don't know. I like I said, 6 mil, 7 mil. So that's all you got. If you got 1.5, honestly, just put it all towards hoops. And I'm going to retain Cliff. I'm going to retain Caleb McConnell, which basically happened. I'm going to retain my roster, and that's what I'm going to do. Like, football, like, no, it's not going to hurt football too much, because, like, those other, some of these NIL offers for football are ridiculous. It's like 10 times worse than hoops. It used to be slimy hoops recruiting. Now it's slimy football recruiting. And I think that's probably the better way to go. Maybe I'm ranting a little bit and just going a little off topic, but like.
Well, something I was wondering was, so I think I mentioned this a while back, but like, if I'm going to use like Jersey Mike's as an example, like, so Jersey Mike's pays. No, I know. I'm just using them as an example.
No, I just hate that everyone says it. It's like,
it's just because.
No, stop.
So business. Sorry. Well, the only reason I use Jersey Mike's is because I look at it as like, so they spent, what was it, $30 million to obviously name the RAC Jersey Mike's Arena. So how come, let's just say Jersey Mike's pays them whatever amount of money you want to make up for the NIL? Like, why couldn't then that's even more to me. That's even more of a marketing opportunity where you pay them, help them with their NIL, and you can just slap Jersey Mike's, posters all over the arena, sell even more Jersey Mike's food. Like, why can't something like that for even if it's not Jersey Mike's, why can't like a business get involved and make it more of like, I guess, from a marketing standpoint, you know what I'm saying?
They can get involved, but they're not going to, because they're such a national brand now. Like, it's not, I know it's Jersey Mike's, but they're such a national brand. They're sponsoring the NCAA Final Four. They're sponsoring the championship stuff. Like, their sponsors are all over college athletics. And yes, it's nice that they named their arena. That's huge. That's great for Rutgers, but they don't give a shit like about certain like specific players when they can sponsor the entire fucking tournament. Like,
but I look at it from a marketing standpoint where it's just like you spent $30 million to put your name on a building that's over 40 years old. Why not give them a little bit more money to help them with their NIL, and you can put even more, you can have the Jersey Mike's kissing booth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Craig, I don't know what the fuck's in your mind right now. I get it. You want to go like, hey, Cliff, like, you want to do the kissing booth?
Hey, listen, I see a lot of opportunity there.
The night report kissing booth.
Craigie, a little smooch and Jersey Mike's Italian sub.
No, you would have Danny DeVito sitting there, and
That
whoever wants
okay?
to
Now
pay.
you're.
Yeah, see now it doesn't sound so crazy.
That's my
does it?
thing though. Is they're gonna get guys like Danny DeVito and like stuff like that. If they're gonna get anyone, I'll be honest with you, not gonna get a Rutgers athlete. They're gonna go get Bryce Young or someone else. Like I don't even know if Jersey Mike sponsors athletes at all. I think they just straight up sponsor the tournaments. They're old school advertising, which it works. It's not a complaint, but that's where like companies like Nike and Adidas have to get more involved, which they are. They're sponsoring athletes specific. The one girl, I forget where she's going. She transferred and she has like an Adidas sponsorship, but she's playing at a Nike school. So it's like, and they're still keeping that sponsorship going.
Haley Van Lith, I think.
Yeah.
She used to play at Louisville, which was an Adidas school. Now she's playing at LSU, which is a Nike school. And basically, Adidas said, "I don't care. We'll still sponsor you. You got to wear on the court, but off the court, you're Adidas." So
that's where I'm intrigued if like apparel deals just die altogether, and it's just like, hey, we're just going to sponsor like this X athlete, this, and then everyone's just wearing whatever they want, really.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, in fairness, should have been, but I don't know. Who am I to judge? But anyway, enough ranting. Done yelling.
Yeah, NIL. I don't have a. If there was an easy solution to this problem, we would have figured it out already. We're now a couple years into this. It took us about almost 2 years to get a collective at Rutgers. We finally have a respectable one, and there's programs that are still even getting a decent collective off the ground. Like we've spoken to people who would know from like Seton Hall, and Seton Hall is like totally inept in they're like way behind even Rutgers in terms of like getting a collective together, getting people serious about it. Ultimately, it's going to take, we need a hero to step up like Batman in these dark times. We're Gotham City. We have, shit going on all over the streets. We need somebody to come clean it up. We need a hero. So if you're out there and you got a fat wallet and you want to come in and be a hero to Rutgers athletics, be that shining light, be the Batman for Rutgers athletics, be that person who's willing to basically donate millions of dollars to the NIL program, because that's what we need. We need somebody who doesn't give a shit, who is all about Rutgers athletics, who just wants to make an impact. The biggest impact you could possibly make ever at Rutgers athletics is being Rutgers sugar daddy.
I also kind of,
if you got a fat wallet, be the sugar daddy. Be the sugar daddy Batman.
Talking to you, Elon Musk. Hear me out. Kick had the greatest idea ever, and this was back in July.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he said just give him like $10 million a year, which honestly he was spot on back then. Mm-hmm. Drop in a bucket, make some national title contenders. I'm gonna go no, that doesn't make them national title contenders right now, but it would be huge, and then it would also help him promote like Twitter, this, that, a third, Tesla, whatever the other stuff, and then
Elon Musk kissing booth.
Oh my god.
Why are you so fixated on this kissing booth, Craig?
What's your
master plan here?
Give the guy one boost in the title, and now he's just going off the rails. God, Chris would have never did this.
Yeah,
you sure?
Chris would have never asked for a kissing booth.
Oh God! All right, what's next?
Anyway, all right. So it was also kind of announced this weekend that Paul Mulcahy is coming back. It wasn't announced like social media, but our insiders are telling us that Paul is coming back, which is huge because Rutgers did not have a lot of depth, like as you kind of previously were talking about. The depth chart was, the scholarship depth chart was posted on Twitter by the Rutgers Rivals account. Mm-hmm. We have 4 open scholarships currently.
Yes.
So not a great situation to be in. So getting Paul back is huge. Even though I think he might be thrust into a starting role again, given that Cam's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just talk about, I guess, the roster. We still got to land at least 1 or 2 portal guys at this point still, right? Like,
yeah,
we can't go into the season with only 9 scholarship players or 10 scholarship players, whatever it's at. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for starters, number one, we can talk about how, like you said it before, I'll mention it on here again, the entire roster was tampered with, and that includes Paul. Like, the fact that Paul's coming back is huge. Like, he had some significant offers on the table, but here's the loyalty factor. He's staying put, it sounds like. So, I mean, yeah, that's good to maintain him, retain him. He's going to probably be a starter. I think he'll be, like, in that 3 role. I saw some rosters projections, and I did Discord and stuff like that, and I don't see it. I don't see most of them. I don't see him, Hyatt, and Griffiths all starting. I just don't think that's realistic. I do think it's definitely Fernandez is a starter. I still think you go get a shooting guard. I don't know who. The portal's open still technically. Like there's a lot of names in there, so you can kind of go pick and choose. I don't know any specific names off the top of my head that they're actually reaching out to yet, but it'll be something to keep an eye on. And I think they actually go for a 4 too. Like I know everyone wants Griffiths to start, but if you notice, Pikel's always tended to go to the veteran guys as the starters first. And with Mag out, more than likely till December, January, I don't want to put Hyatt in that role because we've seen Hyatt in that 4 role and it just doesn't fit, in my opinion. I think he's better off the bench. So right now, I think you only have 2 solidified starters, 3 if you count on Cliff coming back, and the other 2 will probably be transfers, and that's perfectly fine. It's just I just don't know who's going to fill those transfer spots.
Yeah, I mean, just I saw people were discussing, of course, after Cam left, the impact that he would leave on the team. Like I think Andy Katz was talking about it too. That it doesn't derail their season, which I agree with. I don't think it completely derails their season, but it's a humongous impact. Like the guy was your leading scorer. I mean, I guess the offense wasn't great last year, but he was your leading scorer, and losing Cam is a huge impact. I think we talked about like if they were to lose Mac, that would have been a huge impact. So it's just like you can't like you can try, but you can't understate these guys' impacts to this team. So now losing Cam, yeah, you're right. You're probably gonna have to find a transfer to go out there and fill in that starting. I think now Gavin probably might finds himself a starter just out of necessity, and you hope he can be the shooter that Cam was. So it's just like. It's just I guess just thinking about it again, it's just aggravating and it's just annoying how like we were talking about this team like, hey, this team could fight for a Big Ten title going into the season. It could be a great season, and then the snap of your fingers, your season's completely just the complexion is completely changed, and that's just kind of annoying. But that's just the way things are.
Yeah, because Cam, I mean, you talk about intensity. Like I think Pike had said he's never been around a more competitive guy than Cam, and I kind of believe it. Like he had this crazy work ethic where he would, get in a ton of shots before and after games, like, late at night. Like this guy was just always working. So that's really tough to replace. It would be really tough to replace a guy like Paul this late as well. Ultimately, we're not going to find a guy who can, in the transfer portal, who can even kind of be close to what we got out of Cam, in my opinion, at this point. So you need depth. You need quality depth. You also want guys who fit into Pike's system. You're really threading a needle this late in the transfer portal. So I trust Pike can land somebody, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think that person is kind of staring him in the face. Maybe I know a lot of Fairfield guys just entered the portal. Maybe kind of you have an easy in there with Jay Young, but still, it's not like Pike recruited those guys. He just has, one of his trusted assistants there as head coach, and he can give like honest opinions about them. So I don't know. It's not a great situation to be in this late in the calendar to try and be finding a couple impact players, but we're here. We'll see what we can find. A lot of the guys we had previously talked about, like Jay Powell, committed elsewhere. That dude from Florida State, the McLeod guy, committed to Syracuse. So the pool is very shallow at this point. So you just got to hope that Rutgers being a team that's competed for an NCAA tournament berth the last 4 years, made it twice. It's got to be an attractive landing. It is an attractive landing spot for a lot of these guys. A lot more attractive than going to, I don't know, Iona or, St. Peter's or wherever else that is also probably looking for guys at this point in the calendar.
Seton
I don't know. Seton Hall. It's just not easy. Everybody needs an extra depth player at this point. Like we previously said, you got to recruit these guys, and you also probably need to pay them in NIL. So,
yeah,
great situation to be in.
And he also needs to hire an assistant coach too. No biggie.
Yes. Yeah. Do we have any updates on the assistant coaching search?
No, not anything significant. It seems like I guess we could talk about what was the guy's name from Yale, associate head coach.
Oh yeah.
I was told he interviewed last time too. So he interviews every time Pike has an opening. I was told.
Wow.
He's that close with Pike.
I think his name's Loxley.
Kingsley, right?
Kingsley.
I think.
Yeah,
Matt Kingsley.
Yeah. He's the associate head coach at Yale. He runs the offense there. Runs a pretty good offense. I mean, he sounds like he's pretty good. I don't know in terms of recruiting wise, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, because you have 2 pretty good recruiters already. not really a veteran guy, but he played for Pike during Pikel's years as interim head 1 year as interim head coach at Wesleyan. And he played under Pike, and him and Pike are very close. He's obviously moved up the ranks quite a bit. I mean, it's an interesting name, and it makes sense because Pike wants a guy that's close with him, a guy that has it doesn't have to be a guy that has connections, but someone that Pike trusts. Like, this is what it's almost like the team. Like, you need a culture, and you want to get someone that fits that culture. Like, you don't want to get someone like a big name ace shark recruiter to step on Brandon Knight's toes when Brandon Knight's your associate head coach. Like, you want to get someone that's just going to fit the mold and kind of work with these guys, and everyone work together and go from there. But yeah, nothing too new other than Kingsley. Now, as I say that, I can almost guarantee you we turn off this podcast and they make a hire.
I think you mentioned, though, they want more of an up-and-comer rather than like an established name, right?
Yeah, that's true. Which Kingsley, I guess, kind of fits that mold because he's never been like a high major coach. I don't think Yale's considered high major. What is it? Low, mid major, something like that?
Well, it depends on who you ask, because I'm sure Richard Kent would say every program in the Ivy League should be considered a high major.
Yeah.
In reality, I would say that they're middle of the pack. They're like one of the best leagues that are not one of the best non-Power 5 leagues.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're not a bad program.
Power 6 in basketball.
Yeah, they're not a bad program at all. So, I mean, like, it is what it is. And I don't think he would be a bad hire. And I'd keep an eye on other names like Dan Ricard, who's worked with Pike. And he was technically at Rutgers, who we've mentioned before, for like 2 months before. I don't know what happened. He went back to Stony Brook as associate head coach. He also coached the women's program as associate head coach, which I found interesting. So,
yeah,
different viewpoints for how the game works. And yeah, those are only really 2 like legitimate names that I know of right now. I know others are throwing shit at a wall still. We already confirmed McConnell's out, Dave Lato's out. There's someone else that was out. I can't remember who, but I'm sure we said it on here enough that people remember. Yeah, that's all we really got.
All right, so we talked a lot about basketball. Let's pivot to football. You were at the Rivals football camp this past weekend. You saw some Rutgers targets. Just tell us about where the camp was, how it went overall, who you thought stood out.
It was around the corner from Rutgers. It was at Piscataway High School, which is always nice. I don't have to go far. Players don't have to go far. Pretty good group. A lot of Jersey guys. I saw Jalen McClain, Tosh Sanders, Yasin Willis, Willie Love, all these guys, Corey Duff, all these guys kind of were hanging out for the most part. Corey Duff and Yasin Willis are probably the 2, and Willie Love are the 3 main Rutgers targets right now. Yasin Willis recently announced an official visit. He also has official visits to South Carolina, Pittsburgh, and Michigan. That being said, I don't know if he's a running back at the next level. He's big, he's bulky. He runs people over. There's a blocking drill that they did where he manhandled kids. It's not surprising, but I just don't know if he's a running back at the next level. That's my big question mark on him. But I don't think Rutgers fans have to worry too much because it does sound like he's probably still going to end up out of state, which is fine, whatever. Hopefully not Michigan. Hopefully one of those other 2 in South Carolina or Pitt. But other than that, Willie Love was there. Willie Love kind of worked as a linebacker. And I think he's starting to embrace that role. He's always been a DB his entire life, but he's a legit like 6'4", 210, 220 around there. And I'm like, everyone's like, yeah, he's a DB. I'm like, is he though? Come on. Like, is he? So he kind of embraced the linebacker role a little more in the one-on-ones this camp. And he didn't look bad. He looked pretty good. I think he's a good prospect. I think Rutgers has a great shot. He only has 1 official visit, but after talking to some people in the know, he wants to schedule all 5. So we'll see what happens there. I do like Rutgers' chances there still. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on. Who was the other one? Corey Duff. Corey Duff won wide receiver MVP. And not just one, like he, I guess, could be a tight end, but he ran with the wide receivers. He doesn't have the speed, I think, in my opinion, to be a wide receiver at that next level, but Rutgers will take him as a wide receiver because they are done with tight end recruiting. They got Keener and the other kid whose name's slipping my mind right now.
Oganaya.
Yes, that could be why it was slipping my mind because I can't pronounce it. But yeah, no, Corey Duff looked really good. He's got great hands, great body control, good route running. It's just the lack of speed at wide receivers scares me a little bit. So I think he'll eventually be that new hybrid tight end type. I think he's phenomenal. I just now that he won MVP, what happened last year? A wide receiver that was considering Rutgers won Rivals Camp MVP. He flipped and flipped again, and now he's at Georgia. So that's something to monitor. Like I know people are like, yeah.
I think Uncle Lenny also said that right now Corey Duff is 75% UNC, 25% Rutgers, but the mom really wants Corey at Rutgers. So that's kind of an update on his status there.
Yeah, he was actually rocking Miami gloves too, and we've heard their name mentioned quite a bit. They weren't too interested any recently, but I mean, I know people are gonna like probably hate on this, but like the fact that he won Rivals Camp MVP is a big deal. Like this film from the camp goes out. Several colleges subscribe. Like not to me specifically. I mean, yeah, me specifically too, but like they subscribe to get the videos from the camps, and like they're gonna see these camps, and they're gonna be like, oh shit! Like this is what happened last year. Was you see Hayden's? He won Rivals Camp MVP, and everyone's like, oh yeah, Rutgers got an MVP. Like great. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit! Like this man just added like 12 Power 5 offers. How'd that happen? Because he won Rivals Camp MVP. This is the best of the best competing. Like this is what it is. So I think his recruitment's going to explode a little bit more between that and between the fact that he's had a huge fucking spring. He won Under Armour Camp MVP. He dominated the OTs. They flew him down to Miami to play in 7-on-7s and paid for him to play. They didn't pay him straight up, but like they covered all the expenses on that shit. But like he dominated the OT7 down there. That's where Miami came into play. Like it's going to be tough as fuck to land him now. It's going to be a lot tougher. I think a lot of schools are going to come in the next couple of weeks and show him a ton of love. But it does sound like North Carolina is prioritizing him big time. Rutgers obviously wants him too. I think Miami might get back in the fold. It wouldn't shock me if some others, like South Carolina and a couple others he was talking to. I know when I went to the Under Armour camp in North Jersey 2 weeks ago, I think I said it on here actually. Dante Reno, I was doing an interview with Corey Duff, and Dante Reno, who's the South Carolina quarterback commit, like, tell him to go to Carolina. Go Gamecocks. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like that might be a serious option now. Like this is how it works. So he was another good one. I'm trying to think who else I talked to. A lot of younger kids were actually pretty fond of Rutgers, which is always a good sign. They're starting to make some inroads down in South Jersey a little more. Nothing crazy. Who else? I got my whole list right here. Karan Craig. And you probably like him because his last name's Craig, but
yes,
he won the running back MVP. And this kid, I've been on him since he was in 8th grade. He's technically, I think he's listed as a cornerback for us, which is totally incorrect, but he's 5'11", 165. He got his first offer in 8th grade a couple years ago. Rutgers has offered him. Rutgers actually hosted him on a visit. He won MVP for the running backs over like several other Power 5 dudes, like legitimate 4-star Power 5 guys. I was extremely impressed with him. I think if you're a Rutgers, you got to do everything you can to get in the good graces of this kid. Like this kid is going to be a stud. He already is, actually. I shouldn't say is going to be. Stone Saunders, quarterback, won MVP, quarterback MVP. Big Rutgers target. Shiraka, I think, offered him during his time at Minnesota. He was also the first Rutgers quarterback to be offered in the 2025 class. So something to monitor there. He does have a couple other offers. I know Iowa's pushing a little bit. I know Miami was pushing a little bit, but I don't think Miami's going to really land him. I think it'd be like a Rutgers, Pitt, Nebraska, Minnesota type Big Ten battle for him. There's some questions about his accuracy, but I actually thought he looked pretty good. He's got good arm strength. Trying to think who else was there. It's pretty much it for the most part in terms of Rutgers guys. Wasn't anything crazy. A lot of no-shows, which always sucks. Everyone fucking pulled their hamstring apparently that day of. Like weird, right? But yeah, like Vabu Ture was supposed to be there. He didn't show up. But yeah, a lot of big North Jersey kids showed up, and that was good. But at the end of the day, like I hate to say it, when's the last time Rutgers landed North Jersey kids? Like, so.
Yeah, I think that's why you've kind of seen the recruiting base spread further and further into the Big Ten territory in general, out towards, Wisconsin now, and Ohio has been a big hotbed for a while.
Yeah.
Down back into Florida, a good amount. It's It's not going to change. I think we're only going to see more national recruiting by Greg and company.
So now I did have a guy out in State College where the Elite 11 was on the same day on Sunday, and AJ Serace was one of the better quarterbacks. He put him in the same category as the Penn State quarterback commit, Ethan Grukemeyer, who got the Elite 11 invite for the finals, Dante Reno, who I just mentioned, South Carolina commit. There was a G5 kid, I forget what his name was, and then AJ Serace, and not in that order specifically, but he had him in the top group. He said AJ Serace actually looked really good, puts a lot of zip on his ball, which I kind of told you guys already. You saw on the video. Obviously, shitty day when I took the video, but you could still see some of his characteristics and his traits. So yeah, I mean, he's continuing to dominate, and he looks like a good quarterback commit. I think he'll be a starter down the line. If I was a betting man, I'd probably say it's probably Gavin and then him, if I had to guess. Just based on, unless you get a transfer within those two windows, whatever it is.
Shepard would be 3.
I like Shepard. You think he's a good kid? I think he's decent, but I don't think he'll ever start on the banks.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but then you'd have 3 quarterbacks. You're gonna add a 4th.
Yeah, I know. I think 3 is the new number. That's it. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Greg said that too. Like, if you can have 3, that's like a luxury at this point. It's tough with the portal. Like, if you're any type of decent, like I want to play, you want to play, he wants to play. Like, 3's the number. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think AJ Serace is you got a pretty good one in AJ Serace, and I wouldn't be shocked if he moves up the ladder a little bit.
Wow, yeah, that's we've heard nothing but positive things about Serace since he committed, and he was a guy that Gleason was obviously really close with, and I think a lot of us kind of wrote off landing him after Gleason left, and then very quickly very early into this offseason, he ended up committing to Rutgers. So yeah, really excited about him. All right, guys. So we've gone over a lot here today. Is there anything else you guys wanted to hit on before we sign off?
Well, I was just going to say, I was looking up in your background, Mike. I just want to let the people know that we didn't kidnap Mike and lock him in a crazy room. Mike actually just moved. Mike, you want to tell us a little bit about your new place?
It basically does look like a padded room without the padding on the walls yet. Yeah.
Is Sega Genesis on the ground? What the hell is that?
There's a PlayStation 5 next to me.
Oh no, I'm talking about the one in the back. Other one.
I don't know what you can see.
That little white thing. I thought it was like a
that little white
gaming
box.
console.
Yeah, what is it?
So it's a. Hold on a second.
Oh God.
Anyway,
it's not a GameCube. I can tell.
No, it's not. Sorry, it's called a backbone. So basically, what it is you take your cell phone, and you can connect on both sides this like controller piece. And you can play like your online. It's not AirPlay. It's the PlayStation remote thing. Anyway, it doesn't really work that well, so I haven't used it.
So you're saying we can't play Spyro on it?
You can't play really anything on it because everything is streamed to your phone, and it's just everything is so laggy. If your internet's not like super fast.
Fair enough. Craig, you got any thoughts about a certain someone retiring? I just noticed.
Who?
19 seasons, arguably the best Knicks player of our generation.
What are we talking about?
Come on, dude. You don't know who's the best Knicks player of our generation?
Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah, he just retired.
Did he? I didn't even see that, honestly.
Like a couple minutes
ago. He didn't play this year, right?
So, yeah.
No. Yeah.
Then I guess pour one out for Melo.
Pour one out for Melo. Pour one out for Chris. What else? I'm missing something. Oh, baseball. Baseball this week. Big tournament. Literally B1G tournament. Craig, turn the phone off, dude.
That wasn't mine.
Oh.
I was just looking at something. I think it's yours.
Is it? It's on my phone. I have a cell phone in front of me. Oh, bye, Mike.
We found the culprit.
All right. On that note, what is going on today? So Big Ten baseball tournament is today. Not today. Tomorrow? I don't fucking know what day. 5/23. That's tomorrow. Do we wait for Mike? What do we do here?
You can just keep going.
All right, I'm gonna rant real quick.
Yeah.
Number one, Rutgers tournament. They don't even play tomorrow. They're the only team in the first round that plays the 24th, so they're playing in 2 days. 2 p.m. game, Nebraska Cornhuskers versus Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 4 and 5 seed matchup. There's a losers bracket, which is like trippy. I'm looking at it right now. It's really messing with my head. It's a weird bracket. So we'll see what happens. I think Rutgers has a decent shot to win the Nebraska series. After that, they'll probably play the 1 seed, and that's where it gets a little rough. Maryland's had a great year, but you never know really. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. It's the tournament. The tournament. Rutgers has made some noise in not in baseball, but they made some noise in the Big Ten tournament in basketball. I was his boss calling him actually, so I had to go. Yeah. So. Anyway, so I think Rutgers has a shot to, if they want to make the NCAA tournament, they have to make a little bit of a run. That's not a question. I think that's actually a fact at this point.
Yeah, I think you said in the past they have to win it.
Yeah, pretty much. The nice thing is if they can somehow beat Maryland, they kind of advance almost to the semis already. So that'd be huge for them. It's going to take a lot of luck, or it's going to take a lot of skill and a little bit of luck at least. So we'll see what happens there. But the other thing I wanted to mention. You guys in the YouTube comments, man, I'm not taking the hat off. I'll take it off right now to show you my mean sunburn. But like, look at this thing. I messed up yesterday. This is bad.
I know.
Like,
look at that.
And that's not because the hat's tight. That's because it's sunburnt right here because I fucked up.
I was out covering a game yesterday too, and I'm a little burnt too.
Yeah, I'm about to go outside and just sit outside so I can just even this out real quick.
See, we don't tan. We just burn. It sucks.
You see, now that's where you would think, right? No, I go out. I get really dark.
You get tan?
Yeah, I get really tan.
I get farmer's tan. That's the problem.
I have that now because of golf and all that. But anyway, other thing I wanted to mention, there was something important I had to mention too. Yes, so thanks for all the ratings. I know Mike's usually doing this part. I guess I have to do it real quick, so just bear with me because it's not going to sound great. Thank you for all rating the podcast on Spotify, Apple, all that other good shit. YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already. If you're not a member of the Night Report, you're missing out. I'm going to hype it up a little bit because I'm in charge, but I'll tell you right now, there's no better website, there's no better forum, there's no better place to be a Rutgers Scarlet Knights fan currently than the Night Report. The Roundtable message board is the OG message board. It's got OG Rutgers message board. It's got everyone and anyone on there. Richard Kent's on there posting his scoops now. He has shifted his scoops from the basketball board to the Roundtable, so that's always good to see. We always have tidbits, whether it be recruiting, whether it be apparel deals, which we've talked about. Anything and everything Rutgers is on that board. In terms of the ratings, keep up the 5-star ratings. I really appreciate it. To that one guy who emailed me saying he's not going to give me a 5-star rating because of my cursing, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like, I said that in the nicest way possible. It is what it is. I am who I am. I'm not going to change up. I'm never going to change up. I don't care how much money's in my pocket. I'm not a politician. I don't give a shit. I don't ever want to be a politician. So unless I'm getting a sick NIL deal from Georgetown, I'm not changing anything up. Other than that, keep up the ratings though. For seriously, guys, we're so thankful for all of it. 5 stars. If you're not going to rate us 5-star, don't bother rating us. I'm talking to that one dude, that Matt Harvey guy. It's not Matt Harvey, but it's M. Harvey. We can tell you about this. M. Harvey gave us a 3-star review.
3 stars.
Yeah, it's a piece of shit.
Numbers.
It has to be Matt Harvey.
It probably is. It probably is. Now that he's retired, he's got a lot of time in his hands, and he figured, hey, why would I not go to the place? He's figuring himself, why would I not go to the place that has every Rutgers scoop ever except Cam Spencer? But nobody knew about that. But anyway, Matt Harvey. So Matt Harvey's a part of our little family too. So there you go, Mets fans. Matt Harvey.
Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate all the likes, ratings. If you guys ever want us to talk about a certain topic, hit us below in the comments. We're on social media too. If you're not following us, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
We got 12K. Let's bump that up. We gotta get to 15, right?
Is that what we have now? I think we're at 12. I'm at 15 on the personal. Yo, cat's going nuts.
What's going on?
All right, I gotta get out of here. Cat's going nuts. Guys, thanks again for everything. That's another episode of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.